So now for the fourth video on recession indicators, we're going to talk about housing values, housing appreciation and depreciation, and what happens during the recessions. Do we see appreciation? Do we see depreciation? All of us really remember 10 years ago. We remember the last recession, the Great Recession, the biggest one since the Great Depression. But why did we get into that? It's because of housing. It wasn't because we were in a recession that housing values dropped. It was because of housing that we were in a recession, and because of that market crash, that the recession was so exacerbated. A lot of people in foreclosure. What's one of the biggest things? That Miami was an epicenter in this. And what did we see a lot of? Rent was here, $1,000 a month. The mortgage payment was up here, $1,500 a month. People couldn't afford it. Plus, everything was crashing. They saw their values going down. Why am I going to keep paying that? A ton of other issues, a ton of other things that happened, but that's just one big indicator. You look now, rent is here at the $1,500 and the mortgage payment's here at the $1,000. It's very different now. Let's look at what these charts are showing us though. What we see here, housing and recessions. This is 50 years at 5% appreciation. So let's just imagine that our housing appreciates at 5% every year. I actually use an average of 4% when I talk to my clients. People don't believe me. They think, oh, that's too high. This chart shows you that I'm actually low. The average over the last 50 years is 5% a year. We double in value on a property every 20 years. Think about that. Think about where your value is now. If you have a $400,000 value, guess what? In 20 years, it's going to be $800,000. This is why real estate builds wealth. People don't see it. They don't understand it, but it's true. It's a fact. Right here. 1975 all the way to now, we see over those 50 years, it's been 5% a year that we've had that appreciation. Now this line behind it, that's up and down, is pretty steady from 75 to 90. Then we had that recession in 90, and look, there's a little dip, but then it came up. So we actually didn't see depreciation because it dropped and came back up during that recession. And then this little up and down, kind of making its way up. And then when the next recession came, we had to stimulate the economy and drop the rates and loosen mortgage guidelines in 2001. Actually, the guidelines were loosened before that happened, which is where we see this increase here. Then when the rates dropped to some of the lowest rates ever, then we saw this huge appreciation and loose guidelines, everything you know about the real estate boom. It boomed, and then we started to see this level off, and it fell. So the last recession, as we talked about, we saw the market crash. And in 2011, we saw it begin to rise. So now we're back at the average. We're back where we're supposed to be. The next recession is not based on housing. So we shouldn't see depreciation. We'll likely see appreciation like we have in other recessions going all the way back. Look at the 80s. Look here. These recessions saw appreciation. So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of buying a property thinking it's going to decline in value in the next recession. Recession's coming. Plan for it. Buy now. It's going to appreciate on the way there. You're going to pay it down on the way there. You can have tenants paying it for you over the next couple of years. Don't be afraid of getting into a new property. You're going to do great. On to the last one.